Chanting angels fill my gut. Tradition and ritual have become rut. Too many choices leave me still, gently driving me toward overkill. Pushed and plucked, down ingrained, salted roadways ever paved. Reading from a dated script, continue mending though it's soiled and ripped.
Hi. I am asking these questions. You see, I went through a pretty painful divorce, but you know what they say, transformation, and things change and things are impermanent, and well, maybe in today's society, love just doesn't last for everybody. It doesn't last forever. Maybe that's the truth.
I've lived through several marriages, those of my parents, grandparents, friends, and relatives. So why should I get married? I don't know. I don't see the reason. Once you live through it once, it's like a divorce. It's eventually going to come.
Marriage is wonderful in theory, but in practice, certainly if you consider the traditional vows, a permanent commitment is impractical and, for most, invalid. Come on, I mean, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. Frankly, I don't know how much poverty, sickness, and worse I could take. I don't know any married person who wouldn't get a divorce if the relationship became too uncomfortable.
Instead of thinking of the real meaning of what marriage is, being together for the good and the bad and having kids, that meaning is just out the door for people my age.
What I think about marriage, to me, it's something sacred. It's something sacred between two individuals. It's something that the two decided they want to come to an agreement with as far as being together for life.
That our values, the things we think are important, are the same.
I think there's some significant differences between how people look at marriage in my generation now versus my parents and my grandparents. I think people see marriage as much more casual. It's not necessarily something that is lifelong, and I think that is borne out by a lot of the statistics that you see nowadays of marriage being, 50% failure rate.
The word that I think of when I think of my second marriage is sweetness, and it's because I never expected to find later on in my life, when I had a good sense of who I was and how I was in the world, that to find somebody else who was who he was in the world, who he is in the world, and who we are together is sweet.
Marriage is great because commitment is involved and love, but I don't think it's necessary for a stable relationship. I think it is a necessity for couples of childbearing age because the children need the stability of the relationship and the commitment that is made before a whole body of people.
Okay, you ask me about marriage, I'll tell you about marriage. Marriage is for babies. Babies, those little things that come along unexpectedly sometimes. And if you're planning to do that, I think marriage requires that everybody, both that man and that woman, they need to have that commitment on a piece of paper, and they need to be married, and they need to have it so that if they break it, if they can't break it, that's what the deal is. They can't break it, they can't get out of it. If they want to get out of it, it costs them $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. They have to stay there till the end, till that child is on its own.
Marriage. A man, a woman. Is that marriage? A coupling, is that marriage? It's something to think about.
In biblical times, marriage was not anything religious. It was a legal contract between two people or two families. And the religious baggage didn't get added till later. seems to me it would make perfect sense, since marriage still today is a legal contract, that it be simply that. Anybody who wants such a contract should be able to get one. And the religious consecration could be added later at the church of one's choice.
It's a lot of work, and I don't like to put it in those terms, so maybe what I should say is that it's a, it takes constant, conscious focus to have a really wonderful marriage.
Now, the kiss. The kiss is so important. It's an important part of marriage. But that kiss, when you look in the movies, is much more romantic than when you get it at home, at least in the long run. So marriage is not like the movies. It's a struggle. It's a deep commitment. It's pure ecstasy and pure hell sometimes.
What I believe is important to making a marriage work is for both partners to have the courage to, when they feel most like running away, to turn towards each other and just hold on. And I think that is one of the bravest things I've ever had to do in my life.
Ranting angels fill my gut. Tradition and ritual have become rut. Too many choices lead